14 months before landing on the moon lander that was supposed to go to the moon was being practiced by Neil Armstrong to land on Earth, but this experiment failed badly because Neil Armstrong failed to land this prototype. It was his good fortune that in the last 2 seconds, he ejected himself and saved his life. But after that, when the Apollo 11 moon lander successfully landed on the moon, conspiracy theories began. If they couldn't control it on Earth, how did it land on the moon? Welcome once again to Discover TV's videos, dear viewers. It's been 54 years since Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, but even today many people believe that all this was a hoax created by NASA and America. When you hear these conspiracy theories, they often seem quite logical. They raise such reasonable questions that an ordinary person is forced to think, did America really lie to us? Were these moon landings actually shot in some deserted desert? Now, whether this is just a coincidence or a conspiracy, these theories always find a reason to come back to life every few years, like in 2002, when Bart Sibrel, a man who believed the moon landings were fake, asked Apollo 11 astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin some strange questions in front of the media. Aldrin got angry and punched Bart Sibrel in the face. That was the point when theories against the moon landings began circulating once again. People said that perhaps the second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, was bothered by these conspiracy theories, which is why he got angry. But what's the real truth? Was NASA's moon landing real, or was it actually a secret plan to humiliate the Soviet Union in the eyes of the world? At the beginning of the space race during the Cold War, it was the Soviet Union that sent the first satellite into space. Not only that, but the first unmanned spacecraft to touch the moon was also sent by the Soviet Union, 10 years before NASA's Apollo 11 mission. So what happened that the Soviet Union couldn't send humans to the moon even once, while NASA managed to do it 6 times? Let's crack these theories one by one and try to find out the truth. The first thing that creates doubt in people's minds is the camera with which photographs were taken on the moon. Marcus Allen is a photographer who knows a lot about this camera. He says, "When I see the photographs taken on the moon, I can't believe how astronauts operated such a complicated camera on the moon. And that too from inside a spacesuit. A spacesuit is no ordinary suit. It is fully pressurized, meaning in simple words, it is filled with air, making it impossible to move fingers and hands with precision." Conspiracy theorist Ralph Renee demonstrated an experiment where he put on astronaut gloves and placed his hand inside a container. Initially, he could move his hand and fingers freely, but when all the air was sucked out from the container using a compressor, the glove stiffened. In that vacuum chamber, it became very difficult to move the hand. He said that in this condition, it would be impossible to press a camera trigger or set the focus. If that's the case, then how are the pictures taken on the moon so sharp and perfect? Aerospace engineer Jay Woodley says the camera used by astronauts on the moon was a Hasselblad 500L, which was specially modified for lunar missions. It would slide and attach to the astronaut suits, so there was no need to hold it with hands. Additionally, the shutter button was made larger so that it could easily be pressed with the gloves, and the focus ring was also modified so it could be rotated even with stiff gloves. Since the astronauts couldn't look much to the left, right, up, or down through the helmet, they practiced well on Earth beforehand so they could capture excellent photos on the moon. Even in these excellent photos, conspiracy theorists point to shadows. A former head of American rocket company DynCorp believes that the shadows seen in the photos prove we never went to the moon. He says that in many moon photos, the shadows are not parallel. When the Apollo 11 astronauts were on the moon, the only source of light was the sun, so the shadows should have been parallel. That's why many believe these photos were taken in a studio using artificial light sources. The closer the light, the farther apart the shadows will be. As seen in this photo, the shadow of the lander's landing gear goes one way, and the astronaut's shadow goes another. It sounds like maybe these shadows are indeed caused by artificial light, but experts say that even on Earth, shadows are often not parallel. For shadows to be parallel, the objects casting them must also be parallel to each other. Moreover, if the photo is taken with a wide-angle lens, the shadows will not appear parallel, or if the surface is not smooth, the shadows will not be parallel either. Another theory is often raised. Aldrin is seen descending the lunar lander stairs, and sunlight is not hitting the lander's side. Yet Aldrin appears well lit. So why is the lander's shadow completely black, while the astronaut's body is well lit? Conspiracy theorist Marcus Allen says this is only possible if some other soft light is hitting him. True, sunlight does not scatter on the moon due to lack of atmosphere, but when it hits the moon's surface, it reflects back, just like Earth lights up on a full moon night. Similarly, in this photo, the backlight on Aldrin is light reflecting off the lunar surface. Speaking of lighting, the light passing through the American flag is also viewed with suspicion. Conspiracy theorists ask, If sunlight is hitting one side of the American flag, how is the other side perfectly lit? Actually, the American flag planted on the moon was made of nylon, a material that easily allows light to pass through. But if there is no air on the moon, why was the American flag fluttering while being planted? Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin says they had not practiced planting the flag in moon soil. The rod that held the flag had to be twisted and pushed down into the ground. Since the moon's gravity is very low, astronauts had to exert more force, which made the flag shake more than necessary, making it look like the flag was waving in the wind. Also, the flag was designed so that, in addition to the aluminum rod on the side, there was a rod on the top as well, to prevent it from drooping on the moon. Conspiracy theorist and famous author Ralph Renee raised a question about the moon landing that cannot be explained in Earth's atmosphere. He said that when a blower hits dirt or even small stones, the air pressure moves the particles and creates a small crater. This blower is certainly much less powerful than the moon lander's thruster. So why didn't the moon lander create even a small crater under it? In fact, physicists say that just a few feet before landing, the lander's rocket motors were shut off. At the moment it touched the moon's surface, thrust was already reduced by 75%. That's why no crater was formed. But if you look closely at the photos, the thrust did displace a little dust, which appears scattered in different directions. Just not enough to cover the landing gear. Even if 25% thrust remained, that equals 1,250 kilograms. If that much thrust hit the Earth, it would surely make a crater. So why didn't it do the same on the moon? This still can't be fully explained in Earth's atmosphere. Another big question frequently raised in conspiracy theories is, why does the sky appear completely black in the photos taken on the moon, like nighttime on Earth? And why aren't stars visible? A camera lens works like the human eye. In total darkness, the pupils enlarge to let in more light. In bright conditions, they contract. If you've ever tried stargazing, you'll notice that it's done in complete darkness, so our pupils dilate and capture even faint starlight. But if someone switches on a light, the stars disappear from view. Similarly, in the Apollo 11 mission, when the photos were taken on the moon, the surface was brightly lit by sunlight. The camera lens received so much light that it didn't capture the stars. Their light was too faint in comparison. And even though sunlight was hitting the moon, the sky looked black because the moon has no atmosphere. Our Earth's atmosphere scatters sunlight, making the sky appear blue during the day. But in reality, behind this atmosphere, the sky is black. What do you think? Did America really send humans to the moon or not? Or if you have any questions in mind, be sure to tell me in the comment section. We hope you liked and shared this Discover TV video as well. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.